Hello, everyone, and welcome to Movie Mandates. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Andrew.
And this is the show where my brother and I force each other to watch movies based on a certain monthly theme. And this month's theme was Quintessential 80s. And thusly, I made my brother watch Heathers from 1988, I think.
88, right? 89, somewhere around there, yeah.
Somewhere around there. So, yes, we watched Heathers, but pardon me, before we get into that, it's only fair that since I mandated the movie, my brother gets to ask me something about movies in a segment we call Trivial Trivia.
All right. Kelly.
Brother.
You get a windfall of $2 million, but aliens are going to destroy the Earth in 2 days. How do you spend it?
You're right. That's a stupid question. No, that is a great question. The correct answer is you don't, because no one is going to work to accept your money. Like, I'm not going to go to a grocery store and buy, like, I'm not going to Junior's. And
who's man in the till at Walmart?
Yeah, like
I've got all this money. I wanted to buy a TV. What the?
I wanted to go to Cancun or wherever. That's, by the way, that's not my list of place to go, but 2 days, no one.
It's not enough time to do anything.
So money has absolutely nothing to do with what I would do for 2 days.
Yeah, the same thing I'd do if I hadn't just got a $5 million windfall.
There'd be a lot of crying.
Yeah.
There would be a lot of negotiating with those aliens.
I mean, if I'd try bribing the aliens, maybe it's like, hey, $5 million, leave us alone. Take me with you.
Is it just really American of me to think that my money would be good?
Would be good. Come on, these are American dollars. They're backed in gold.
Right. So
I'll tell you where the gold is.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God.
You'll have to Google map it.
Currency for you. I will find it. Yeah. But that's well played, though, my brother. Well played.
Well, let me ask you for those who haven't seen Heathers, that's a line from the movie. I do have a different trivial trivia for you, though. That might be more interesting. What famous actor is Christian Slater often accused of mimicking in his performances?
Oh, Jack Nicholson.
And is he?
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
But like, if you're going to mimic someone, good choice.
Good choice.
It's a good choice.
I mean, if Christian Slater was on set and this was like Winona Ryder, this was his first one of, if not his first film, probably one.
So his first.
Well, he was on TV, right?
So he had some TV stuff, and it did a few things there. His first film, like big, quote unquote, or like was Tucker with Jeff Bridges. I've never seen Tucker. I think it's called Tucker, A Man in His Dream, or A Man with a Dream, something about that. I've never seen it, so I don't know who he plays or his role in it, but that was kind of like the first, like, he has the secondary role behind Jeff, right. Good old Jeff. And then Heathers was lickety split after that.
And Winona Ryder, I think, was right off of Beetlejuice, right? Because I think that was 88 and this was right after or something.
Yeah, she was very on the precipice of, like...
It's interesting, both she and Slater were late 80s, early 90s was their...
Yes.
Their when they were in a bunch of different movies.
Which, can we just talk about the decades a little bit and talk about the fact that, to me, 80 through 89 isn't the 80s. The 80s is like 85 to 93.
Well, we were born in 80 and 81 respectively, so we weren't really cognizant of the first few years. So in order to get the full decade experience, extend our 80s into the 90s a little bit. So
just like
stuff like Gleaming the Cube and Bram Stoker's Dracula, those all count for.
I want to be clear that Gleaming the Cube was my original choice for Quintessential 80s.
Oh, really? Well, that one I think is probably like 90, 91. So
it's 89.
Oh, did it make the cut? Okay.
I think it just made the cut. Although, why you're complaining, Mr. 2015 movie for Quintessential 80s?
Sure. Okay, fair enough. Well, this movie's like 1989. That barely cut. Dude, your movie was 2015.
Yeah.
Wasn't even the right century.
I think so. Originally I was going with Gleaming the Cube. And then I was like, no, we need to go back and we need to do Heathers. And so let's talk about Heathers. So first off, brother, since we've already kind of sort of started talking about it, now that you've seen it again as an adult and not just like maybe walking through a room as I was drooling over Christian Slater.
I've seen her. I've seen.
Was it amazing? Didn't you just love it? No.
I think had I given it a chance when I was say young to mid-teenage years, I think I would have I think it would have connected with me a bit more than it does now, but I can definitely appreciate it. Yeah, I like the film. I think it doesn't always succeed at what it's setting out to do, but it gets close enough or succeeds at so much of what it tries to do that it definitely works. Remind me, in case I forget, I want to get into why I think it's a movie that, because if I'm not mistaken, this movie bombed when it released. Adults don't like this movie. The kids like it, and I think I know why. And I'll try and remember to get into that in a second. Okay. Why I speculate that's the case.
All right, I'll remind you.
There's a lot of. I love the tangible details of this film, whether they service the film's intention or not, whether they make a lick of sense or not. I love some of the dialogue, a lot of the dialogue. The dialogue is amazing.
Incredible.
I forget one of the Heather one, I think, says, "Well, fuck me gently with a chainsaw." Yes! I'm like, oh, that came out of nowhere.
You want to know what was also fun about watching this movie is knowing the things that you would be like, I was like, oh, brother's gonna really grab onto that line.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry.
I love the color coding of the Heathers. There's Heather red, yellow, and green. And I love how Heather red, once she dies, her toxic influence is represented in the film's color palette, both in the set dressing and the character wardrobe. For example, Heather Green, when she adopts the mantle of lead Heather, she starts wearing more and more red until she's in full red by the end of the movie. You'll see it in some of the set design, like in the dream sequence, which is hilarious, where they're at the funeral and Winona Ryder's standing in the back by the holy water bird fountain thing, and it's what it looks like. It looks like a bird fountain, and she's backlit with red. Like the encroaching, because she's dreaming about maybe murdering another Heather. She's becoming the lead Heather, and you can see that red encroaching and surrounding her. And end of the movie, for some weird reason, she's standing on the stairs leading up to the school, and there is a carpet on the stairs in front of the school. I don't know why, but it's red. And she's standing on it.
Indeed, she is.
I get it. And you see that also in her Winona Ryder's wardrobe. She starts in black, and as the film progresses, it gets more gray until it moves into blue. So I look. Did you see The Defenders on Netflix?
No.
It was the Marvel MCU team up with Jessica Jones, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist.
It's on the long list, but
of things to, yeah.
So now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, the name, the title didn't ring bells.
Not good.
Oh.
But one thing they still worth a watch because superheroes, and Sigourney Weaver's in it. But they do some wonderful color coding in this, where everything involving Daredevil is red, and everything involving Luke Cage is yellow, and everything involving Jessica Jones is purple, and so on and so forth. And Sigourney Weaver's white, and they color code not just the outfits, but the lighting and the set design. It's I love artsy fartsy crap like that. I love the film's score and the way it's shot, which gives everything this weird heightened reality, almost dream you know, in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, where you get into the dream sequence before Freddy Krueger jumps out and starts slashing, but everything's just kind of overlit and things seem to be moving slightly slow, and there seems to be like almost a haze over everything. That's the feeling, the way this movie is shot. It gives you kind of that dreamy feeling throughout it. So you know, a lot of stuff I really like. Also genuinely funny in a lot of places. Where I think the movie falls flat, or rather doesn't work as well as it perhaps could, is, and this is why, bringing it back around, this is why I think it works so well with teenagers.
Oh, okay, great.
It has a lot of really complex, heady, deep, important things on its mind.
Yes.
And a lot to say about all of them. And it really wants to talk about them, but it does not know what the answer to any of it is.
So there's a
just like being a teenager. You have all this stuff that's so important, and you just want to talk about it, but you have no conclusions because you're a kid and you don't know anything yet.
Basically, yeah. So the scene that was on, well, scene that was in the movie. Oh, hello, Kelly. And we'll talk about kind of sort of the plot, just quick overview in a moment. With the mother, so Winona Ryder's parents.
Her parents, it's hilarious.
Which I love.
I love the multiple pate scenes, which are exactly the same.
I got a motor to make it to this party. I got a motor to make it to the funeral. I got like just
dialogue, the staging,
everything is perfect. But the parents have a few other interactions, and in one of them, Winona Ryder is complaining about being not taken seriously and not being treated like an adult. And she says, we want to be taken seriously and not patronized like bunny rabbits. And I love how the father goes, I don't patronize bunny rabbits.
That's a great aside.
Which is hilarious. But the main part of the scene is when the mother comes back at her and says, and I wish I wrote it all down, but basically the mother says, you talk about wanting to be treated like human, and you think that means, you know, laundry list of how to be treated, but really you're complaining, you know, you want to be treated like a human is probably because you are being treated like a human. And like, that's the whole thing, is that in your brain in high school, you think that all of this quote unquote injustice and everything is so egocentric in high school. There's not a thing that you're thinking about, brother, that mom was thinking about, that anyone else other than me. I was the center of not only my own world, but everyone else's world as well. So obviously you're not treating me like an adult because and it's just like, no, I am treating you like an adult. And that's probably why you have such.
But would you say that this really interesting and thought-provoking observation has anything to do with the movie's theme or the message of the film.
No. Well, I mean, yes and no. The thing about this movie, okay, let's talk
there's
about it.
There's how suicide is treated by family and friends and schools and society. There's how niceness or not niceness is often performative. Even empathy is oftentimes performative. There's even some commentary about queer acceptance
and say homosexuality,
and some of it lands and some of it is very 80s.
Yes.
But so there's a lot here, and it's like, oh, that's a big, meaty, deep film. No, it's just like a teenager. There's a lot going on, but no conclusions yet.
So maybe that's the point.
That might actually be what they were going for. I don't know. But I do think that's why this movie really strongly speaks to a lot of teenagers, which is, and didn't work for, Roger Ebert at the time. He was just too old. He's like, yeah, you're talking about a bunch of things, but you're not actually offering up a point of view. You're just mentioning that it exists and go, isn't that a thing? By gum, it is a thing. But no actual thesis on it. I think that might contribute to why the film connects more with teenagers than it does with adults.
I would agree, in fact, because yes. So talking about the movie in a very general way, for those who haven't seen it, it takes place at high school. There is a clique of Heathers. There are 3 of them. And
with a cast of fairly close to high school age kids. So,
not too old.
I think Heather Yellow is early 20s. I don't know who the actor is. Heather Yellow. I'm thinking she's probably no younger than like 23 or something. She looked a little older than everyone else, but whatever.
Just like Stockard Channing, and she's still beautiful. So Heather Red, Heather Yellow, Heather Green, and then Winona Ryder's character Veronica, who is an honorary member of the Heathers, and this is the elite clique at school. Everyone fears them, and Heather Red says in the movie, she's like, I'm the queen of Westerbrook High, and I'm only a junior. I don't know if it's Westerbrook, but I think it is.
Something like that.
And she says they all fear me or they want me. And what an amazing thing that is how people respond to me. And I'm just like, whoa. But that's that person, that's that clique. So yes, the movie introduces them as very toxic. Heather Red is quite the leader. She instigates everything, and she is holier than thou. Heather Yellow just wants to fit in, and she laughs at all the same things, but she's not really anyone quite yet. And then Heather Green is kind of the meek one who is bulimic, who is just trying so hard because she's a Heather and because she's pretty to be part of that clique. And then Veronica is apparently just some cool chick who can do everybody's handwriting, by the way.
Which, it's established at the beginning, fine.
Yeah, it's established.
I don't have a problem with that. So and she wears a monocle while writing in her diary. But these are the tangible details that just make me so happy.
And the thing that I find so hilarious as well is her handwrite, like the character, Veronica's actual handwriting. So Veronica can copy other people's penmanship and pass off a paper to look like theirs, or a note or something. However, her penmanship is god awful. And it's funny
well,
because
she attacks the diary. Dear diary, I'm so nervous.
I have terrible handwriting when I'm writing fast.
Me too.
I mean, I'll look back at notes and go, huh,
what?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea. And I'm so organized in so many things in life. And then I have a meeting or I'm trying to take notes while I watch something, and like I'm writing in sideways, I'm writing in here, I'm putting arrows, and I'm like, what is happening in my head right now? So it takes about, I don't know, 15 minutes, 10 minutes to establish these terrible ladies. And then Veronica sees across the cafeteria the hottest man. And I kid you not, my love for Christian Slater runs very deep, nearly as deep as Elijah Wood. And
deep.
I know, he is so good looking in this movie. Like, I thought maybe because I'm older and it's been 20 years or however, I'm, whatever, more than that I thought more than that. But I thought, like, okay, I'm not gonna be attracted to, decades old. Oh God. He's so pretty, so good looking. I get it, Veronica. I get it. And like, oh my gosh. And I just think to myself, no wonder. Like, and then he went right on to pump up the volume and cuffs and Robin Hood and
cuffs.
Cuffs.
I haven't thought about cuffs.
True Romance. Oh my god.
True Romance. Oh, that was 93-ish, somewhere around there.
Something around there, but like, Wizard with Fred Savage. He was the older brother. Anyways, here's the thing.
That's right.
I'm in love with this man, and this movie just really solidified. Yes, I have amazing taste. I
think Broken Arrow might be too far into the 90s to still be the 80s,
but he's still sexy.
He's still in it.
Like, there's nothing that he's not good looking in. No, I can't think of anything he's not good looking.
One thing I want to point out before you go on with the recap is Veronica. Veronica was ostensibly a very nice, friendly person who had a social life until she fell in with the Heathers, the cool kid clique, and now she's abandoned all of her, early high school, grade school friends. And while she's really indignant about the fact that the Heathers control who she can and cannot talk to, she still falls in line.
She does, right?
So that's where she is at the beginning of the movie.
So she meets JD, who is Christian Slater's character, and JD is kind of like this anti-establishment, emo before emo kid.
Yeah,
he's very pale in this movie. And
he's wearing an earring.
He's got an earring, his dark hair. He's Christian Slater.
Bangs.
Like, right? Oh, the hair. Everything about this movie makes me happy. And he's kind of anti-establishment, and he thinks that, and they meet each other, and she's down, and she says, I don't think I really like my friends. And he says, I don't like your friends either. And then they bond, kind of over a slushie. So basically,
and barbecue corn nuts.
Oh god. By the way, corn nuts are disgusting anyways. And can we
they smell terrible too.
She being Heather Red, this is what we're discussing.
She got like a 44-ounce thing of slushy too. That's cute. Especially with Winona Ryder holding it.
They're going to a college party. Heather Red is very much like, by the way, we have to sleep with these college dudes. And she's
for our rep.
Corn nuts. No one's going to want to kiss that. And then you see the scene, and by the way, he didn't kiss her. That's not where her mouth went. So it didn't matter that she had corn nuts, I guess. The point is that JD...
Maybe it would have if she had, like, cayenne pepper corn nuts.
Jalapeno corn nuts.
There you go.
So JD commiserates with Veronica about, like, oh, she's so mean to you, and she... pimped you out and is angry with you because you didn't put out with this college guy. And
which looks bad on me.
Yes. And so you're dead, and you should transfer to another school because you're going to be a social pariah now, since you didn't sleep with someone in college. And so JD kind of convinces her like, oh, we'll go to Heather's house and give her kind of like a gross morning cocktail, you know, kind of a prank, right? So they go there to do a prank, and Veronica's like, oh, orange juice and milk, and he's like, how about Drano? And one thing leads to another, and yep, they give Heather Drano. She dies,
and she face plants through a glass table.
Yeah,
which I don't think is actually set up in the scene. I don't think you see. Maybe you can see it, but it's definitely not like cameras going, look at this. This is important. She just
right.
Boom! Glass explodes. Like, oh damn!
Oh, yeah,
pretty great.
And so they dress it up like a suicide. Of course, it kind of seems like JD's done this before, and there's an amazing moment when they're writing, because of course Veronica can
ape her handwriting,
can do the handwriting. There's a moment when they're writing it together and thinking of something, and he says, I die, the world never knew, knowing that the world never knew the real me. And Winona Ryder goes, wow, that's really good. Have you done this before? And then there's maybe 2 seconds of silence, and both of their facial expressions are incredible, because he doesn't say anything, and then she's like, oh gosh, he didn't say anything, and he's like, yeah, let's just go to it. And it's just a very interesting scene. So they play off as suicide, and hey, now that Heather Chandler, who is Heather Red, the most popular woman in school, has killed herself, well, now she's no longer some terrible person that everyone feared. She's this misunderstood, like, beacon of tragedy and loneliness and like everything, and people are projecting their worth onto her as if, like, she didn't want to go out with me, and now
more popular than ever.
Yeah, I realized the reason she turned me down when I asked her out is not because she was unhappy with me, because she was unhappy with herself. And so it's like she's more.
I love Winona Ryder's reaction to that. She's like, she's like, what the hell, dude?
What are you even thinking? No, it's because of you.
No, it's you.
So Winona's really pissy, and JD very pissy about the fact that she's getting even more popular, and that was not the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Heather number 2, Heather Yellow, asks her to double date with some jock guys, because she's like, hey, you should double date with me with these jock guys. It's the least.
Some aggressively homophobic jock guys.
Oh yeah, and throughout the movie, you see these jock guys, and it's hilarious because they're seniors, and they're always wanting to fight, and then they're like, no, we're seniors, let's just scare them really bad, or but they're like, let's beat them up. Oh no, we can't beat them up. And then there's a scene that, like, there's a very long scene at the funeral when they run after the nerdy kid, and they like full on tackle him, and it's just like it just stays and lingers, and you think they're going to cut away at any moment, and they don't, and it's uncomfortable. So JD, because he is creepy, follows Veronica everywhere, and he's like, another flippin' Heather trying to get you to do what you're going to do. Let's solve this problem. And again, through his wily Christian Slater charm, convinces Veronica to call these 2 football guys out to the woods so that they could, because they spread rumors about her, because of course she again decided to keep her legs closed. So yet again, rumors were spread about her. And so,
all right.
Yes. So that, I just want to explain, because I'm talking about another dang Heather, and yet now they're going again. They're attacking the football.
Not only are they violently homophobic, they're also animal abusers. They go cow tipping.
Oh yes, they do go cow. Yes, you're correct. I was like, animal? Did I not see a scene? Yes. Okay, you're correct. And I love cows. They steal your soul, but they're great.
No, I mean,
I don't eat them either because they steal your soul. I don't know what that is.
Is that revenge from beyond the grave? Is that how that works?
Right? I mean, have you ever looked into a cow's eyes? It's haunted.
It's like a shark. It's just dead. There's nothing going on there.
Exactly.
Sharks eat your body, cows consume your soul. That's science.
Thank you. Someone who gets it. So don't eat them. Yes, this is all true. So they meet up in the woods.
You know what a shark would say if it wasn't underwater? Moo.
Maybe that's the bubbles. They're trying to say moo.
They're trying to say moo, but they're underwater. So
poor shark is like, I'm trying to speak to my brethren.
It's like in Jaws 4 where the shark jumps out of the water and goes roar. I'm like, that's totally unrealistic. It should be moo.
Hello. Yeah. Oh, we should write Steven and be like, so here's the thing. Bruce made the.
I don't think Steven Spielberg did Jaws the Revenge. I don't remember who did.
That's true. He definitely didn't. So yet again, sexy Christian Slater is able to talk her into shooting these guys and writing a suicide note. And now we have 2 more.
No, don't worry. These aren't blanks.
These are Ikluga bullets. And then she's like, I'm so stupid. He's like, you believed what you want to believe. Because he tells her.
Yeah, that's I'm guessing lie. Is that what that translates? Ik's I. Luger's probably lie or fib or false or I'm lying. I think I'm lying bullets or something.
I have no idea.
My German sucks, but
my German is terrible. I know grandmother, Großmutter, and that's about it because that's what I call my grandmother.
I think it translates to I'm lying bullets or something like that.
That's awesome.
But it's also clearly bullshit. And
it is true. She believes it. Like I guess in a way,
she believes what she wants and.
Take it away.
This is kind of unbelievable that she doesn't know. I'm because she shoots at and misses one of them.
Yes.
And Christian Slater has to run after him, and that should pretty clearly indicate that because she's already standing over the very dead one that Christian Slater and she shoots him anyway. Which I think is why they spent so much time on these dipshits beating up the nerdy kids and tipping cows so that you don't immediately hate Veronica. Because even though it's not believable that she didn't know what she was doing, you're still on her side at this point.
Yes.
Most audiences, I would think.
But I think that she shoots him because I think it shows that he truly is controlling her. And now it's one of those.
She was controlled by
the Heathers.
Heathers, and now she's controlled by him. Yeah.
Abusive and personalities and people who are going to manipulate, they look for the people who are like they don't really want to work too hard at it.
Yeah.
So
and it's not really dramatized, but it's pretty heavily implied that even before the Heathers, her life was controlled by her parents with, because she's a daughter of a very rich family.
Yeah.
So that, she's probably had a bunch of expectations and things she's been saddled with her entire life.
Yeah.
So I guess one part of the movie, so you could definitely call it a coming of age movie. A person finding themselves, living for themselves and doing what they want rather than what anyone else wants or expects of them. So anyway, funny joke. Half of the humor regarding this scene with the homophobic jocks is haha, gay people are funny, which especially 30 years later, not great, but half of it is actually insightful and very funny. For example, for me anyway, the joke about the mineral water.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm guessing that's actually not a stereotype, and that's the joke. It's like I bought a Joan Crawford postcard.
I would agree.
Is Joan Crawford popular with the queer community?
Well, yes.
Okay.
But also, like, that's the thing, mineral water, even back in the day, I remember going, like, I don't even think I knew.
I think that's not a stereotype, and that's the joke. It's like, I got mineral. I said, a lot of people drink mineral water. Yeah, but in Ohio, it's definitely queer coded.
Yeah.
And so the cops, but the payoff, the punchline is, rather than just doing a stereotype, which is a stereotyping, the cops come in and go, oh, I know what happened here. Pulls out he's like, they were gay.
It all makes, I have everything I need right here.
And then there's that the dream sequence. I love my dead gay son.
That wasn't the dream sequence. That
was actually the
yeah. So that was actually
where she laughs out loud, and then what I'm guessing is the little sister turns around and and that's the first time where she actually truly starts some self-reflection. It's like, the world doesn't evolve around me. My actions actually do affect others, and that's important.
Exactly. And and that's but that's another
point. And the funeral guy, what's that actor's name? He plays Ortho in Beetlejuice. It's Glenn Shaddix or something like that.
You could say it. I won't.
You wouldn't know. Okay, yeah. He's Eskimo.
Eskimo. That was the dream sequence.
That was the dream sequence, right? They bury this is where the heightened reality comes in, because they bury the jocks in their football gear, helmets and little red footballs on their chests. It's like, oh my god, it's genuinely the only heightened thing for me that doesn't work in this movie is the opening sequence where Winona Ryder is buried up to her neck in her lawn, and they're hitting her in the head with croquet balls. I'm like, that doesn't work. I think the fact that's the first thing you see, it's the first thing you forget, so it's not as much of a problem. But I'm like, there's no way in hell she would allow them to. There's no way in hell that they dig a hole that deep, and it's just completely impractical. It's the only thing in the movie. Yeah, and this is she believing that the bullets aren't going to pierce the skin, or will only penetrate a little bit, or that she didn't notice she grabbed the coffee cup full of Drano, or that Heather 1 would actually drink anything these two handed to her, especially something that was blue, or that she wouldn't look at it for. There's a lot of stuff that you really have to just go with. That thing where she's buried up to her neck, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going with that one. I didn't even
take that as a literal thing. I took that as her figurative, because it starts with Dear Diary,
and then it goes into her diary. So that's
she feels.
Had I gone in, you're probably right thinking about, because that transitions straight into her scribbling into the diary. But being that's the opening of the movie,
she looks straight into the camera and says, Dear Diary.
So it's probably a fantasy sequence on reflection, but it didn't read that way to me. It is
the opening of a movie, and I do understand. And I love, there's a lot of good croquet moments in this movie, and we'll get to the end here in a moment, but one of the greatest croquet moments.
Oh, and the color of the Heathers matches the color of the croquet sets, which is great.
Heather Red knocks Heather Green, Shannon Doherty, by the way, everyone, out of the game, and so Heather, Shannon Doherty's Heather, has to she makes some amazing swing,
ricochet shot,
and the ball comes back into play, and the very next move is Heather hits her back out, and she goes, why? And Heather goes, because I can. And I'm just like, yeah, that's why she does everything.
Which I'm pretty sure Heather Green and then Red, I think when she takes on the red mantle, I think she repeats that late in the movie, doesn't she? Because I can.
Because I can. So
more color stuff when Heather Yellow is about to off herself.
And her name is Heather McNamara. Heather Yellow.
She's encased in her cheerleader outfit, which is primarily red. So it's that all-encompassing Heather 1 thing that's strangling her. She goes into the bathroom and downs pills, and all the pills are yellow. So I love that crap.
Yeah,
it's really well thought out from a production design standpoint.
It's a wonderfully produced movie, in my opinion. So So you just bring us after the boys have their suicide, have their
so the boys are dead.
Heather Yellow tries to off herself, and let me tell you, and she calls into a hotline about it. So
oh God, yeah.
There's two. The last guy
funny.
she had sex with ended up being gay and killed himself because that was one of the football guys, even though he wasn't gay and he didn't kill himself. But that's how she perceives it, and because she's failing math, by the way.
I love she calls into the call-in show. My name is Heather. No, I mean, yeah, no, it's Madonna. No, it's she looks at her bird, Tweety, and the guy answering the phone is like, I don't care.
I just need a name to call you something.
Whatever. Yeah. And so, of course, Heather Green, now Red, just socially destroys her at school, and that's her impetus for downing a bottle of pills.
Correct.
And then Veronica stops her and reaches out to her and connects with her. And this is another step towards self-actualization that Veronica is going for. And then Veronica Yellow is completely dropped from the movie. I don't think we see her again.
Yeah.
I think she's gone.
This is correct. You don't really see much about Heather.
I mean, you might see her in the background in the hallway or in the pep rally.
Goes into some sort of a treatment center or something.
You can have some headcanon, but I feel that's a ball that was dropped.
Agreed.
Oh well.
So the final act.
Maybe they realized she was 25 and kicked her out.
She got pregnant. And they're like, dang it. No. So the final act basically is Veronica stands up for herself against JD and is like, we're over. And he's like, well, I'll show you all. So he has the newest Heather Red, who is Janet Doherty, who used to be Heather Green, and she has moved up the ranks. He gets her to have a petition signed throughout the whole high school to have a band called Big Fun play at their prom or whatever.
And what is Big Fun's #1 song?
And Big Fun's #1 song is Teenage Suicide, Don't Do It. That is what it is called.
Could they not get the rights to the Queen song? Is that what happened there? It's a pretty great song, though. I do like what we hear of it. It's pretty funny.
It's pretty, yeah. So, but it is actually not a petition for that. Oh my goodness, he had more nefarious plans, you see, and it was basically a suicide note that everyone signed, and he was going to blow up. I say was because he doesn't. Spoiler alert. He was going to blow up the high school with everybody in it during this pep assembly, and it was going to be the monumental. He called it. It's going to be the Woodstock of the 80s. Is actually what he called it. So yay, quintessential 80s reference.
And then we got a Woodstock in the 90s.
Right.
You remember that?
Let's try
now. No one remembers that for good reason.
I know, right? Isn't that terrible? Like, what a terrible thing to know. Like,
was it 94?
We tried again to have Woodstock, and I'm like,
and
even though you and I were young at that
point, hey, let's try to get lightning to strike like, right there again.
Nah. So it's at the end of the movie that he tells. So he's like, yeah, this is going to be the thing, and they're all going to die because, so the society degrades us and doesn't understand us. And basically his fake note from the school is about like how society doesn't understand us. And yeah, that's kind of the stupid theme. Not stupid, but that's the theme of the movie. That's not even resolved, but whatever. She stops him. And let me be very clear. 20 minutes ago, she had a gun that she in her hands to shoot a very wide gentleman, not in a negative way. He was a football player, so he looked
broad-chested dude,
big man. So there's a large target that she has that she tries to shoot this guy. This is back in the day when she thought that she couldn't, that he was just going to be wounded, and she misses him. Fast forward maybe 4 days later,
she gets on the second shot,
and she does hit him with the second shot. Fast forward 4 days later, and she's fighting with JD to try to get him to not blow up the school.
Turn off the bomb, right?
And
because all the kids are upstairs in the pep rally.
He says, "Screw you," and I don't think that you can have a middle finger on YouTube. So anyone who's watching this, I won't put a middle finger. But so he flips her off and says, "Screw you," and she shoots his finger off.
To be fair, she was aiming for his head.
Okay.
That's my headcanon.
I love it. Anyways, so she stops him from blowing up the school, and she looks like hell, by the way. It's great. So she walks outside, and he stumbles out. She's like getting air, right? And he stumbles outside.
Well, he's missing a finger, and he gets gut shot. So
yeah, he's bleeding. He does not look good. He's going down. This road ends badly for him. He's been shot in the side. He's not well. So he has put the bomb onto him, and he walks out and looks at her, and he explains this is it. This is the resolution. Everything we were trying to do, it's culminated to here. So this is the end. Wiping the slate clean. And she like looks at him and she like smiles. And when I watched this movie many times in the 90s, from 88 till, whenever, he opens his arms. Christian Slater does. JD does. Like, this is it. And he opens his arms like this, and he puts his head down, and the camera like pans back in a wide shot. And I remember when I watched it as a kid, I thought that he was opening his arms to her, thinking she was
going to run into his arms or something,
and they were going to embrace and go boom together, because we're wiping the slate clean means you have to come with me. And then when I watched it this time, that was not how I read that situation. I want to know how you read that situation, brother.
I think he's a bit of a drama queen, actually.
Well, yeah, he says greetings and salutations to people, and then he comes into their window and he goes, "Dreadful etiquette, I know." And I'm just like, who speaks? I love everything that comes out of everyone's mouth. It is so pretentious and amazing. Like, every time. So that stupid question that brother asked at the beginning about them get $1 million and then the aliens are going to blow up the planet is in the movie. And Veronica and everybody in the movie goes, "How very," just everything is very, nothing is. And I love that because it's so pretentious, because at that age our vocabulary isn't good enough, so we try to make things work by not actually finishing sentences. I love all of like
the made-up slang is pretty good.
All the made-up slang is incredible. It's so great. So anyways, I want to get back to your take on that, but this is the very end of the movie. She doesn't go to him.
No, she just watches him explode.
He does blow up. And then she goes,
and they did not have the budget or the desire to explode anybody, because they cut away from it. It's really well done. They cut inside the pep rally that you hear a big boom and everyone's like, "What the hell's that?" You go back outside and Winona Ryder's standing there just while the smoke clears.
Her hair's all out and fuzzed up, and
like Wile E. Coyote just had a stick of dynamite blow up in his face. His face is all black, his hair's poofed out.
Yeah.
She looks exactly the same. And then she
goes inside Heather Green Red,
and yanks off her red
hair. You'll know it by the name Scrunchy, but I always called them
Scrunchy. And takes it for herself. Symbolizing that she is now Heather number one. She rules the school, but she might be doing it a different way. Not a way anyone's telling her to do, not a way anyone expects her to do, but the way she wants to do it. And so she makes friends with one of the other kids who's been consistently picked on. I imagine she's going to play some more croquet with Betty or whatever her name was, who's the old friend of hers. So I sense that she's taking that power, which they talk about in the movie about, and Christian Slater says, you don't have the strength, power. What word does he use? It's one of the two. I think strength.
I think it's strength.
Okay.
He uses strength.
And then he admits at the end that she actually does have it. Mm-hmm. And she uses that strength to hopefully make the school a better place, or at least become a better person, and a better person that positively affects the lives of those around her, rather than pretending that everyone else is just an actor in a play for her own amusement, which I'm sure we find out in Heather, the television series.
Wait, what?
There's a Heather television series.
Like in the past, currently?
No, I have no idea when it aired. I didn't look, but apparently it's on Amazon Prime. I didn't watch it.
No.
I didn't. There's a musical too. I've not seen that.
Yes, there is a musical.
But I think that's an adaptation. I have no idea if the series is like an adaptation or a follow-up or the next generation or what, but
I can't imagine now that I can't imagine this as a musical.
But I think Christian Slater's JD's death is primarily just performative. He seems like he actually doesn't have I mean, we didn't get into his backstory with his parents and stuff, sure, which probably informs a lot of the way he is. But I don't think he really has much of an actual goal. I think he's just a sociopath.
He's just a disruptor.
Yeah, an anarchist.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it is.
And I think, he goes out thinking, I'm cool. I'm making a statement, even if he did and he articulates a couple different things, which means that he doesn't really believe in anything, I don't think. But it's pretty clear to me anyway, from Winona Ryder's reaction, that he goes out and she thinks he's a dipshit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got that.
He's like, me. I'm, here comes in, and she's like,
because I read it this time, and he's like, I'm Jesus.
Mm-hmm. The Jesus pose, right?
In the pose. And I got that this time, that she was like, because I think, again, at 7 years old when this came out, and utterly in love.
Although probably didn't see it until you were like 9, but
true, but utterly in love with this man. Yes, because this is back in the days when movies stayed in theaters for a while,
and then didn't
come out,
hit Blockbuster months. For like almost 6 a year, months. 6 months at least.
At least, if you didn't see him, here's the thing, guys.
Maybe you'd find it on VHS for $30 at the store 6 months later, and then a year later you might find it Blockbuster Video.
Which was another thing about this movie. So
and then aired on TV.
Talking about quintessential 80s, the foo-foos.
God, the hair, the shoulder pads.
The shoulder
pads. I love it.
Just all of the smoking.
Everyone smokes. Teachers smoke, the students smoke at school.
And the VHS tape, when the father comes in and he's so excited to show a VHS tape of something, mm-hmm. and the radio that is in the fur radio that JD has and everything, and it's just it's all those little tiny I'm like, oh my gosh, because I don't remember those standing out, and now they do. And I'm like, yay, it's so amazing.
No one has a phone.
Yeah, but no, when I was a kid, I don't know how old I was. I thought to myself, she's so upset because she really did love him, and he just so I read it so differently, and I think I was just projecting my Christian Slater, no, onto her, because now I watched it yesterday, and
I still ship them.
And for real though, I'm like, man, because he thinks he can solve everything by a kiss too. He constantly is like, oh, you're so upset, let me just stick my tongue down your throat. And I'm just like,
it's the panacea for all that ails.
I mean
if it's Christian Slater.
Have you seen that guy? Yeah. Heathers. I was so excited to watch it. And then I was so sad though, because I watched it alone. Not that but like Fushi wasn't able to come over because I had a webinar yesterday, so I was late getting to it, and then I had tap class. So I was I couldn't have anyone over, and then Garen was at the theater, and so I watched it by myself, and all I could think of is like, oh, I want to show it to more people. Why is no one here to watch this with me?
I remember I don't think I'd seen the entire, I don't think I'd ever sat through the entire movie. I did have specific memories, like I remembered Eskimo. I remembered her hanging.
And you remember her hanging?
The hanging, we talked about this off camera, but the hanging, I actually remembered that scene.
Yeah. He's like, sure, I was coming up here to kill you, but still,
yeah,
I loved you.
That scene I definitely saw, because that stuck in my mind. But while I was watching the movie, I remembered things like Eskimo. I'm like, I remember that. I think I was probably around when you watched the movie, but I don't think I ever sat through the entire thing. Probably and I missed out. I'm glad I finally, even though I'm past the age where the movie would have been most effective for me, I really got a kick out of finally sitting down and actually watching the movie and enjoying it on its own terms.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
I'm glad you recommend. I'm glad you mandated it.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well, there you go.
But speaking of mandates, we've got a new theme next month. And what is that?
This ends Quintessential 80s, and December starts. Do you want to say it or want me to say it?
You go for it.
AFI Top 100. No, we're not going to watch all of them. We're going to mandate one of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a very long month of theme, so we're picking something from the, well, unless we think outside the box.
This would be the most interesting outside the box. Like, this should be an AFI movie.
Yeah, a movie that's not on the list, but definitely should be. No, I'm picking something from the original AFI list, which has been updated a couple times over the years, and they've had a couple special AFI lists, but I'm going for the original AFI Top 100. As it stands, I've seen 42 films of that listing of AFI Top 100, which is actually more than I thought.
That's pretty good.
I would have guessed maybe 20, but getting towards half. So I'm picking a movie that I've not seen yet, and I'd really like to. So I mandate that we watch Amadeus.
I've never seen it either.
All right.
I'm so excited because I'm just very excited. I don't know why I write it down as if I'm going to forget.
I think the only portrayal of Amadeus Mozart I've ever seen is in the time traveling episode of Gem and the Holograms.
Oh.
And
what is that one movie? I'm going to describe this so poorly, and you're gonna know what it is.
So that'd be good.
There's a stage.
Okay.
There's a stage, and there are people on the sides of the stage with fabric making waves, and then there's like a ship, a boat ship, and a dude in a Victorian wig. We're gonna get it.
Is it Baron Munchausen?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Terry Gilliam movie.
That's exactly what that
God,
is.
I have not seen that movie in 25 years at least. I barely remember that. There's another movie that I'd have to watch again because I remember like bits and pieces of it.
I've just explained to you that which I remember.
You remember the dude with who's got the huge thighs and it runs real fast and is pulling around ball and chains on his ankles to keep him from going too fast?
Oh, right. I don't think I caught on to that. That's why he was wearing those, but okay.
Yeah, that's that movie too. I ought to watch that again sometime. Okay, so we'll watch for our first AFI Top 100 Amadeus.
I'm excited.
So, all right.
Well, that's exciting. Thus ends Quintessential 80s month. Next month, AFI 100 starts with Brothers' mandated movie Amadeus. And until then, you can catch Movie Mandates on YouTube or listen to the podcast on iTunes. I'm Kelly. You can follow me at Get Eisen.
And I'm Andrew. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen.